It's growing exponentially, and it's growing in a way that's morphing and changing in a way that no other crime type has before. For example, the survey of England and Wales last year said that over 2 million people had been victims of cybercrime during the course of last year. Incredible. And that's growing even more. And the nature of the attacks are changing, and the marketplace through which they are committed is changing. So in the old days, it would be a cyber specialist who would create some malware, would deploy it, and would exfiltrate your details or take the money out of your bank account. That's no longer the case. The cyber criminals create the software, the malware, they then sell it, they then rent it out, then you rent somebody out who's going to do the cashing out for you, you buy Bitcoin folders. So there's a whole complex international architecture behind cybercrime, which is much, much more complex than traditional criminality has ever been. Well, I've been fighting for 5 years to make it top, and it's very nearly there. You know, you will find it in most police crime and commissioners' policing plans. You will find it in most of the strategic risk assessments that forces produce. So people are aware of the risks to their public and of their appealing responsibility to protect them from harm and to go after offenders. And it's only going to continue to grow and get more complex, which means we need to go in two directions. Firstly, we need more and more specialist officers or specialist staff who have new skills we've not used before in policing or not mainstreamed before in policing. But we also need to make sure that every neighbourhood officer, every uniform officer, every detective has an extra string to their bow, which is cyber protect, cyber investigate, cyber pursue. Yes, there is. I mean, I lead jointly with the Director General of the National Crime Agency on what we're called Cyber UK Police, which is all of us across law enforcement saying that's the field of operation, who's going to operate where. So, for example, the National Crime Agency work with international partners and with our partners in the security service to protect the UK at our borders or beyond our borders. Active cyber defence, we call it. So all that work's being done within the National Crime Agency, but I lead on UK offenders, UK victims, UK infrastructure and UK cashing out. So the criminality and the victimology that takes place here. And so for us to be effective, we need to grow that capability. Right. We've already got some, you know, we've got 70 cyber specialists in regional organised crime units. We now need to make sure that there are cyber specialists in every single force. Because at the moment, if Mrs. Miggins from 1 Acacia Avenue phones up and said, I've just had my life savings taken out of my bank account, I don't think we've got the capacity to respond to her in a professional way. Or if the repair garage on the corner comes back after the weekend and find out the whole of their online business has been destroyed and there's a ransomware demand, I'm not sure we can provide a professional response, because those 70 people we had in regional organised crime units are going upstream now against the more serious offenders, the more difficult infrastructure, the bigger victims. Well, we arrest in Team Cyber UK 1 a day, on average. We don't just go out and arrest 1 each day because we can do. On average, we arrest about 1 a day. But not all of those go through to charge, and they go through other outcomes as well. So there are cyber criminals in prison. They are in their dozens rather than in their hundreds, and they aren't serving life sentences or 15-year sentences. They're serving 2 to 4 year sentences for the most part. So I think one of the things we ought to think about is how do we change legislation to make it less of an attractive place to be a cyber criminal. Let me give you an example. If you're a traditional armed robber, then you will go in a car with a firearm or a weapon and a bag of swag into your local bank, threaten people over the counter, take the cash away and leave. Pretty high risk, chances of getting caught are high, rewards probably £2,000–3,000 of petty cash. If you go into the bank via the back door, through the internet, or into a business by the back door through the internet, exfiltrate the cash through the internet, move it through international banking systems and money laundering, you are going to make millions and millions, and you are not going to get caught. That's the way that society is changing and crime's changing, and that's why we need to change.
Perfect.